So today I'm going to be talking about the Mortal Instruments. Um, well, just the series because I just finished City of Heavenly Fire and I wanted to say that it was amazing and that I wanted to review the book as well as the series that Cassandra Clare had written. Um, Now, I will be doing several things today, including reading from the first chapter in my book, In Another Life. Um, because I wanted to start a fan base, and you guys sounded excited about it when I talked about it on my IG, so I wanted to try it out. Um, I also will be showing what I will be giving away for my IG followers. I told you guys I was going to be doing a giveaway for those who had followed me here on YouTube, and I will be doing more giveaways in the future for those who aren't following my Instagram, but this is a special one because you guys are the ones that helped me and inspired me to do this. Now for the series review. To keep this short, I wanted to say that the series blew me away with how magical and beautiful its world was. And I loved Clare's writing and how she described a setting with so much detail. I had never read a book ever where it felt like magic. It felt, I didn't read Harry Potter, so I heard the same thing about that, but I wanted to say that this book blew me away with just because it sounded so magical and beautiful, and I just love the Shadowhunter world because of all the different qualities that it comes with. And I also love the characters. The characters are very well developed, and they're very hard to just pick one. It's very, very hard to just pick one. I've been asked countless number of times, who's your favorite character of the whole series, and I can't pick one because they're all different. They all have their own qualities. They're all very special to the story, and they're all just badass, and I love all of them. But I have to say, if I had to choose one, it would be Simon Lewis because he is. When you just see him in trouble or you see him stuck in a situation, it's like, you want to help him, and because sometimes he doesn't have the power to help himself, or he doesn't know what's going on, and so you kind of like want to baby him. Well, in the beginning of the series anyway. And I'm not going to spoil anything, so that's why I'm trying to keep this information free. And so if I had to pick one, it'd be him. I do love Isabel. She is one of my favorite heroines as well, next to Rose Hathaway, because she is a very, very strong female lead. But I do, yes, Simon Lewis all the way. And if I had to pick from the Infernal Devices, which is my favorite, I think it's better than the Mortal Instruments only because of Will Herondale, and that's my favorite character. He's actually my favorite hero and fictional boy character out of all the books that I've read. Will Herondale is my number one. So anyway, I just wanted to say that there's also there's a very different concept to this book. It has almost every single mythical creature that you could think of, such as vampires, warlocks, werewolves, fairies, demons, and angels. And it's not overwhelming either, which is the cool part. You think that when you're reading it you might get confused or too many characters are introduced, but Clare lays it out in a certain way that it's like, okay, so this creature is, part of this society, and then it's got all these different sections, so it's not that hard to understand. And so you're not confused while reading it, because each creature has a particular part to the protagonist's story, and each one is introduced individually. It's not like we have all these creatures all at once. You're kind of thrown in the world the same way Clary is. And so now I want to start with my book review for City of Heavenly Fire. Now, I just finished it, and this baby right here, it is 725 pages, and it took me a month to read it. And not because I'm a slow reader or anything, it is because I love the Shadowhunter world, and I did not want it to end, and I had friends who read it in 2 days, and I was like, I don't want to spoil it. I want to, take my time and engulf the story. And I'm so glad I did that because uh, now that it's over, I don't know what to read. I mean, I'm reading The Maze Runner right now, but I'm not as excited about it, only because the Shadowhunter world was the one I grew up with through high school. So anyway, City of Heavenly Fire was really good, really good. But the beginning, it started out really, really slow. It was like dragging on, and I'm just sitting here like, okay, when are we going to get to the main part, because we already know Sebastian has started his new army of Endarkened Shadowhunters, and you're sitting there like, okay, there's glimpses of them, and there's some things happening, but when do we get to, like, have both of the groups merge together, and so you're waiting for the war, you're waiting for something to happen, and while you're waiting, you're introduced to this new character called, her name is Emma Carstairs. And she's actually, that's the first scene that opens up, is her and her point of view. And I love her, and she's only, I think, 12 in this series, and or in this book anyway. And I just love her attitude. She reminds me a lot of Jace Hirondale, and there was just a lot of things about it that blew me away with her character. And I cannot wait for her Dark Artifices series, because that's going to have Emma as the protagonist. And so far, I love what I see, and I love Julian, and I love her dedication and her backstory to how she got where she was. And hello, she's a Carstairs, so of course, with Jem, it's like, where's the connection there? So I'm really excited to see her story play out. But anyway, so yeah, the City of Heavenly Fire was really good. Like I said, it dragged on for a while, and then it started to pick up, and then you're like, I can't stop reading it, and it kept me up late at night, and so at the end, I heard rumors, and I know some of you guys can attest to this. They said that it was going to end really bad, or that all these characters were going to die. Like, I think Clara said something about 5 main characters dying, and all of us are like, okay, so how many main characters are in that group? And it's like more than half of them. And so I was freaking out. I was terrified to read this book before it came out, because I was terrified about certain characters who were going to die. As I said, I love Simon Lewis and Isabel Lightwood, so it's like, those two are my babies, so, and Magnus too, so it's like, if they die, I'm done. Like, I won't finish the series, and I'm so glad it ended the way it did. I'm not going to ruin anything for you guys, but I am so glad that it ended the way it did. It was happy, and I'm so glad, because I love happy endings, but I love sad endings more, because to me they're more realistic. Not everybody gets the guy, not everybody gets, the good future in the end. Sometimes things just naturally go wrong in a character's life, and they can't fix it, and they're just kind of dealt with it. Not everything resolves in the end. But this one was actually pretty good with the way it did that and handled that. So yeah, so I have to tell you guys, read it if you haven't. I'm pretty sure all of you who are watching it right now have, because like I said, I drag it on for a month. So I doubt that there's anybody here that hasn't read it. So yeah, so happy with the ending, happy with the whole book. It's just really slow, so keep on with it if you're just starting it or going to. So now I'm going to do a reading for my book. I have to pull out my phone here, but I'm doing this because I wanted to kind of get my book out there more, and I figured if I read something that is from my book, something that is interesting, and I read this at I was in a creative writing class, and I edited this until it was like at where it is right now, at the point it is, and a lot of people liked it, and so I wanted to kind of branch out, and most of you guys who are on my IG or who follow my Wattpad or stuff like that, you guys already read it. This is a little bit more updated, because I'm getting more of the handle of the characters, and so anyway, I'm gonna read this. This is a scene from the second book, which is kind of cool about my books. Each book starts off with a prologue, and each prologue starts off with a scene from the next book. So anyway, so this is a scene from the next book, and I titled, it's the short story on this site I'm using, and it's called The Assassin's Dagger. Um, so anyway, the prison's halls reeked of mildew, murky water, and waste. I tried my best not to scrunch my nose up in disgust as I followed the Queen's Guard through the never-ending stone hallways. I was extra careful to keep my eyes on the ground. If I faltered now, it could mean certain death. The guard's hand was firm on my elbow, making me wince as we traveled further into the dark, cold prison. I swallowed hard and focused on his footfalls, which were heavy compared to my light tread. And when we rounded another corner, I had to fight the impulse to reach into my skirts and end the bastard's life. My instincts were on high alert, and I couldn't help but feel trapped. I shook my clouded thoughts away. I knew I needed to follow through with the original plans, but it was hard to concentrate with his fingernails digging into my arm. I was trained to be brutal towards anyone who touched me offensively, and every cell in my body screamed to slide the blade between his ribs. The sounds of shrieks and moans bounced off the cold walls, pulling me from my babbled thoughts. They sounded inhuman and made me want to shrink back and flee this morbid place. The only thing that kept me from doing so was his warning. One mistake, and it could cost you your life. Then all of this would have been for nothing. I silently cursed myself at the reminder and wished that I hadn't cut him off from this mission. The dagger hitting my upper thigh felt like a dead weight, with both the closeness of the guard and the limited opportunity to escape. I had to give anything to feel the cold metal sliding through flesh and bone and piercing the thick meat of his heart. I swallowed hard and let out a small exasperated yelp when he yanked me to a stop in front of one of the many cellars. He gestured towards a small cave-like structure enclosed with iron bars. I took a step towards it and noticed that the thin pieces of metal were turning rusty from the moist air. Good to know that the only thing protecting me and the prisoners were frail, crumpling bars, I thought bitterly to myself. Careful not to give myself away, I peered into the dark, dank cellar. It was small, providing enough room to pace twice both ways, but left with barely enough space to feel comforted. The cot that was shoved up against the molding wall stank of human waste, and huddled at the far corner of it was Piers. The guard let me go and stood still to observe the siblings' reunion. Ignoring the man's breath on the back of my neck, I stepped closer to the bars and placed my hands on its ice-cold surface. Not wanting to show how disgusted and scared I was, I pressed my face between the bars and glared at the heap of rags still curled against the wall on the cot. Piers, it's Madeline. I lied. When there was no reply, I pressed my face harder against the rusted poles, hoping I looked frightened. Please, I have a limited amount of time. I put on a pleading tone, praying that this would catch his attention. To my relief, the torn, tattered rag shifted. He peered over at me, one silver eye peeking out of dirty blonde hair, his expression full of half hope and confusion. My heart raced. If he gave my identity away, I'd never get out of here alive. Slowly, he rose from his dirty cot and stumbled his way over to me. He looked worse than I remembered. His skin was dirty and no doubt covered in wasted mites, and the rags that hung loosely on his body showed how much weight he lost from spending his days in the prison. He smiled at me, and I tried not to flinch. His teeth had turned from a pearly white to a sickly yellow, and he smelled foul as he approached to stop inches from the bars. It took everything in me not to step away from the cell. I held my breath, afraid that I'd start gagging and pass out from the stench. The guard cleared his throat, making me wince. Your sister requested to see you. Piers cocked his head to the side, a devilish grin spreading as he studied me with intense eyes. Is that so? I don't remember your hair being that dark, Alicia Bale. He sneered at the last part. My heart launched to my throat at the mention of my real name. It had been so long since I heard it on someone else's lips. I knew this wasn't going to work. The plan was to get in and out without raising suspicion, but I'm sure it was supposed to go more smoothly than this. I could feel the air as it stirred behind me, following with the sound of metal sliding against metal when the guard retrieved his weapon from its sheath. I looked up from under the hood and hair that draped my face carefully. My eyes met Piers, and I smiled. He always thought he was the clever one. His smirk faltered. The second I heard the guard shout for help, I reached into my dark skirts and pulled out the dagger that I had been longing to use since I caught sight of this place. With practiced skill, I turned around. The guard didn't get his sword fully out of its sheath before I sent my weapon spinning through the air. I watched the flashing silver topple end over end before it sunk itself deep into his hand. The guard let out a scream that vibrated against the hallway's walls before falling to the ground. His sword clattered against the stone after him. I smiled as I approached where he now lay, curled against the wall, supporting his wounded hand. Kicking his sword away from him, I knelt down and placed a hand on his chin. Without looking, I ripped the dagger out. His eyes widened as he watched the blade come closer to his throat. Fear masked his features as he began to stumble for an apology he thought might get me to change my mind. The girl that was born inside of me smiled as she watched the man wither in pain. She laughed and allowed the blade to bite into his throat. He let out a helpless whimper and shook as she leaned closer to him. "Where are your keys?" she asked as she watched the slow, thick blood trickle down his throat. I could see myself smiling in the man's dilated pupils as he fished in his clad pants and pulled out a silver ring full of brass metal. They clanked together as his hand violently shook with fear. Snatching them away, I acted as if to get up. The man let out a sigh seconds before I turned around and knocked him out with the hilt of the dagger. Piers let out a strangled cry for help seconds later. At this point, he knew I wasn't going to save him. I laughed as I tightened my grip on the handle, just as the thunder of feet sounded from down the hallway. "Time to go," I said to Piers before throwing the set of keys his way. We were at a dead end, so I wasn't worried about him running. I bent down quickly to retrieve the fallen guard's sword and faced the handful of trained guards halting to a skidded stop in front of me. The only sound was the heavy breathing of the guards and the jingle of the keys as Piers watched the scene unfold with both confusion and fascination. I smiled at my enemies. One down, 8 to go, I thought, just before they charged towards me. I didn't need to be afraid. Assassins are better at surviving. So that's the first thing you read when you read my book, In Another Life. And I do have the description here, and I'm going to read it to you guys real fast. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to promote my book, so bear with me, and then I'll do the giveaway, and then I'll be done, and you guys can go on your merry way. So this is the description that would be on the back of the book, my description anyway, before the publishers touch it. It says, "They are martyrs, dedicated to a life that wasn't their choosing, dedicated to me. Katerina Labor is known as the girl with strange eyes. She has the capability to read several languages without having to learn them. She hears voices in her head and has recurring dreams of a man with yellow eyes killing her. One night she's attacked, and with skills she never knew she possessed, Kat kills her pursuer. Mysterious Bryson Aragon and his siblings step into her life shortly after to introduce her to a world she never even knew possible. Kat is a reincarnator. After dying unfairly, fate had granted her with the opportunity to try at life again. But Kat isn't a normal reincarnator. She has a deep secret that the Aragons must keep safe from the world because it could be the death of her. Once Katerina is faced with an impossible task, she'll be lethal and thirsty for revenge. And with the Aragon siblings and her best friend at her side, anything will seem possible. Kat will have to put aside her strong feelings for Bryson and decide between staying with her family or the Aragons. She is faced with choosing between a world she was meant to rule or staying with the one she cares and loves most to protect them. And she's only allowed to have one. Which would you choose? So, so that's basically what the back would say. Anyway, I just wanted to promote my book. If you guys want to see more, just let me know. So now I'm just going to end this with the giveaway, and put this book down. So I'm doing several giveaways, and how it works is each of you guys would enter your name for one. You can enter your name for how many items you want, and I will be doing a drawing. So I'm doing several, so bear with me. I'm going to be giving away this Divergent shirt. It's got all the things on the back, so I'm sure you guys have seen it. And it's a large, yes, and it fits me, but it's a little big, so just consider that. So yeah, I'm doing that, and then 2 of you guys will each get one of these. I got them when I went to the Night Before Our Stars for the Fault in Our Stars, and it's I don't know if you can see it with the glare, but it's a bracelet, and it's got like a star. It says The Fault in Our Stars. I don't know. It was something that I got for free, so I figured why not raffle it away. So 2 of you guys will get these, and then I did this. This is from Hot Topic. It's the Hunger Games. I wasn't sure if it was catching fire or not. But it's a tote bag, and it's got like a little pocket for whatever in here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but yeah, so that is what I'm giving away. And then yes, I'm going to be giving this thing away. I never wanted it in the first place, so I bought it for you guys. It is Finnick. So this is from Catching Fire. So I mean, you can still wear it if you want to go to the premiere for the Mockingjay. And actually, I'm going to be doing where I'm going to videotape myself watching the trailer for the first time. So I will be posting another video on Monday if you guys are interested in seeing my reaction. Probably not, but it's just something I see people do on here, so I'm trying to get into the flow of things. And then I'm giving away 2 books. Now I'm giving away Gone. It's a series. It's like a dystopia kind of. It kind of reminds me of Lord of the Flies, if you guys have ever read that, where it's like children kind of ruling society without adults. So yeah, this one's about adults disappearing. It was pretty good. I liked it, but it's not something I would read again, so I'm giving that away. And then this one you guys might kill me for because I hated it. I read like 2 pages and I was done. Beautiful Creatures. So if you guys don't know what that is, you guys can look it up because I don't even know what it is. I didn't like it, like I said. So yeah, so 2 books, and then you have the Finnick shirt and this thing, this bag. And then these 2, and then the Divergent shirt. So if you guys could just, on my Instagram, post on, you could do it on here too, comment what you want, and if you do it on here, comment your Instagram so I know that it's you for sure, because I have a list of it written down somewhere. And if you do it on my Instagram, just put your YouTube account name on there so that I know. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I know my videos are getting better, so yeah, just leave a comment below what you would like to see next, or on my Instagram. One of you guys mentioned the Mortal Instruments, so I was going to do that anyway because I just finished City of Heavenly Fire. So thanks, guys!